Live? Wow, I've got no one in my channel right now.
I'm in there.
Oh, well, then it's you and me watching the stream, and that's it. So,
That's fine. I'll tweet it out too.
all right. So let's get this show on the road. Rhevs Palaver. Today is Monday, May 15th, 2017, and I am lucky to be joined by Th0rnd, who was nice enough to host me last. Oh, Bisk! Oh, Bisk! You're not no one, Bisk. Oh yeah, okay. So now people are showing up. I guess my Twitch robot is just giving me incorrect information. It says I only have 2 viewers. So if Th0rnd is one and I'm another, I thought there was no one here. But we got Th0rnd and Bisk checking in. Th0rnd is a new member of Team MZ.
Hey, welcome, Th0rnd.
And you guys, I am talking with Th0rnd today. Twitch.tv/Th0rnd. That's Th0rnd, right?
Yep,
Yep.
right. I'll
Th.
put the D in.
I'm sorry?
I'll put the D in.
You put the D in? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Why did I not? I'm a smart guy every day, I am. Sorry, man. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it has. It was a long week, a long weekend.
Dude, and I don't know if we mentioned this when we talked last Friday, but I was saying I was having some bad arthritis pain for a few days, and then it continued to rain all weekend. So it's been kind of it's been a rough 4 or 5 days. So finally the weather has turned around the corner. We're supposed to have like 5 or 6 nice days in a row. Man, my forehead looks really shiny. Wow, that's terrible. So Th0rnd runs the Team MZ podcast, and do you interview the Team MZ Streamer of the Week every week?
Streamer of the Week every week, and then every once in a while we will have like a guest. Like a couple weeks back, we had Ice Prime. He's a partner Twitch streamer, so we were just we had him on just to kind of give us a rundown of how he became partnered and his experience through the whole thing. So. But we tend to focus on, and I don't want to say the small people because I'm actually in that group also, but we tend to focus on the people that I guess would see the most benefit from being on a podcast,
Well, don't worry. If anyone's watching this podcast, they're a small streamer. There's no big streamers tuning in here.
There might be. Hey, was saying I am actually your 100th follower too. So. Yeah. Number 5 for Bisk. So
Th0rnd's
awesome to love all the way around.
Th0rnd's pretty awesome. Th0rnd was actually recommended to me to be on this podcast a few weeks ago by one of our mutual viewers, and they're like, "Oh, you should interview this girl Th0rnd. She's really great. I think you'd have a good time." And we did, and it was a fantastic time. And now, like, she's my friend, and she can't get rid of me. And I won't leave her alone.
Awesome.
So Th0rnd sounds like a Reaper. Like from Overwatch. Now, I want to get into something that hopefully isn't dramatic or anything, because as far as I know, Franchese left Team MZ on very good terms. Yeah. I was talking to him when he started up his podcast, when he started the Team MZ podcast, and I gave him a bit of advice and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll have to get you on." And then next thing I know, he's not in Team MZ anymore, and I'm like, "Oh, all right, whatever."
Yeah.
But here's where I'm going with that, though. As someone who doesn't really use the Discord, I don't keep up on the news and whatever's going on Team MZ. How did you end up taking over the podcast?
Well, actually, I took over the podcast. I was a junior mod, I think, at the time. And I was in Franchise's branch. The way the mods are set up, okay, so you have your 8 or 9 admins, and each of them has a branch of the mod tree. So so I was in his branch, and he just asked for all of us to go in and just explain a little bit about ourselves and kind of what we did, what we streamed or whatnot. So. I'll go through, talk about the games I play, and then I mentioned that I ran a podcast last year, and he sent me a message and said, hey, I was looking for somebody to maybe, join me or look at, taking over the podcast when I'm, not able to or whatnot. And at the time, we had talked about doing like a Team MZ podcast and then a Streamer of the Week podcast, so 2 different ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that idea kind of got vetoed because it'd probably be a little bit oversaturated with podcasts throughout the week, when you can just combine it. But that's how I started it, and it was originally started. I originally started doing it when he had to take vacation, or he was out of the country, not able to do the podcast, and then he stepped away from Team MZ. So it kind of fell on me, and not that I'm the right person for the job. I'm the person that was in the chair at the time when the job needed to be done. So it's still kind of on me, and it's I kind of treat it as my baby. I did a podcast about a year ago, almost 20 episodes of a podcast where we just talked about gaming news and movie news. We talked about comic books. We just kind of ran the gamut on everything. So that's kind of how I hopped into it.
Well, I think if last week when I was on is any indication, I think you're doing a great job. And this is absolutely no slight against Francesi, but it felt a lot more natural than a lot of the podcasts I'd watch with Francesi. And again, I'm not slamming him. I'm just saying there definitely seems to be a different level of experience and comfort when it comes to doing this sort of a talk show podcast.
It might
interview.
be an age thing.
Well,
it might be an age thing, and so I work in sales as a living, so I'm used to just talking until people tell me to shut up too. So that's the point where you lose the sale and you get kicked out of a business. So that fine line.
I kept telling him, like, the number one thing you need to do, just slow down a little bit. Like, he would ask a question, and then there were several times I would see him ask a question, and then someone would go, and he'd go, and jump in and start saying, I'm like, just, it's okay.
It'll come. The answers will come.
There's nothing wrong with brief periods of dead air. Like, I know it seems terrible to have a period where you're both just doing this. But sometimes you need that.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. And actually, talking about sales, they actually they ask for like salespeople to introduce that tension. Like, if you ask a question and somebody doesn't answer, it's almost a battle of wills to, whoever answers first, whoever talks first loses. It's bad to say, but it is. It's a battleground, so to speak. So, yeah, it's and if the whole podcast were like that, where one person was just not talking, yeah, that would be a little bit awkward. But if you give somebody a time to think of an answer and formulate an answer, then you'll have better content. So
yeah, and really the worst thing you can do is you ask a question and think to yourself, well, this should be an interesting answer, and they say, yeah. You're like, more. When I was a young man, I worked for about 2 years for Circuit City, and I was very good. I'm sorry.
I worked for Best Buy.
And this interview is over. No, that's okay. Yeah, Best Buy drove Circuit City out of business, but it was a great store. I loved working there. But yeah, that was one of the things they would teach the salesman. You ask them a question and then you shut up and let them answer, and it's a really important skill that I still haven't mastered, because sometimes I'll get people in chat over here being like, shut up, stop talking over him. I don't know.
I'm trying to read chat too. It sounds like they said it sounds like you're interviewing Th0rnd.
Yeah, your voice is coming through a little echoey and robotic. It's fine.
Oh, maybe it's a headset. Here, let me I've got another headset. Hold on.
I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's fine.
Hold on.
I have glorious jerks as some of my friends. Then I love them, but yeah, they can sometimes be a little nitpicky.
Oh, that's okay. I'll switch over.
All right. Well, so I will also mention
All right.
while you are. Oh, okay. Let's see how you sound now.
Is that better?
We'll let Chet be the
perhaps.
judge. I mean, I think you sound fine, so I don't care.
Got the hands on my ears.
Actually, yeah, it does sound better to me. I'm sure if someone has a problem with it, they'll let us know.
That's fine.
I actually kind of liked it because it was distracting from the shiny forehead syndrome that I've got going on. So
I've got a shiny forehead too.
no, it's my chroma key. When I lean back here, wait, where is it? When I lean back, this part gets grayed out. Yeah.
It's like a Doppler radar almost or something. What the storm is moving this way.
Bisk says it sounds fine, but he liked the robot voice. So there you go. So speaking of gaming, so you mentioned you were on a podcast last year. You did 18 episodes of what was the name of the podcast?
It was the DoD podcast. So, and it was the Dads of Destiny. I was a director in the Dads of Destiny for a little over a year, and we did a podcast from about once a week, and it lasted about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And yeah, we covered everything. The Dads of Destiny was just that. It was dads who like to play Destiny, the game, but we also branched out into other games as well. So did that. We talked about games, movies, comics. We had a feature on the podcast called the Badass of the Week. There's actually a website that has like badasses of history listed, and so one of the co-hosts would actually read the description of this person and like explain why they were badass. And it was like military heroes and people like Christopher Lee was one of them. And actually that guy is a pretty interesting guy. He's not just an actor.
No, I know he does. He has an amazing history. Although he is also an amazing actor.
Yes, he was. Very good actor. But yeah, so we would do that. We would talk about news of the community, kind of what was going on. I had the pleasure of being able to go to E3 last year. And so we had a couple shows centered around that. Like we had before we went to E3, and then we had kind of an after E3, a follow up, kind of what we saw and whatnot. So yeah, it was a pretty good time. But that's kind of what got me hooked on podcasts. Before, I never really listened to a podcast or watched a podcast. And I don't know why, because I drive around for my job, and so there's a lot of times when I'm out like in the country and there's no radio, that I want to listen to or whatnot. And I like listening to talk radio also. So you think a podcast would be something that would be interesting to me, but I just never really downloaded them and listened to them. But now I'm hooked.
I've been into one or two different See, I've always loved talk radio since I was young. I love music, and growing up, I definitely had my music phase. For me, I was in high school in the 90s, so that is the epitome of the best music ever is 90s grunge rock, of course. And 90s metal is, superior to anything else. But I even then I would enjoy listening to talk radio, and when I started streaming here on Twitch, I knew I wanted to do some sort of podcast, and my original idea, this is crazy, would be me just talking for an hour, like talking about news and current events and so on.
I believe you could do it.
Yeah, I could, and Noah Near, who was in chat, almost made me do it once. He was like supposed to be my fourth guest, and I went live, and he just wasn't answering Skype. And about 15 minutes into me rambling, he finally woke up and called me, so that was good. But I started out with a guest, and then on my second episode I had another guest, and then on another episode I had another guest, and so on and so forth. And so yeah, now I think I'm at like 30. This might be 31. I don't remember exactly. And it also gets mixed up because then I had a couple where I had like 4 people on at once.
Yeah.
And I was calling that the Proper Nerds podcast, but like, not Rhevs Palaver. So it's all in the playlist on YouTube. But I really enjoy it, and more importantly, I like socializing and talking to other people, and I had so much fun last Friday. It was ridiculous.
That was a blast. That was a blast.
So I'm going to get Mike on a different day, but was that Mike's first time co-hosting with you?
That was actually, our first time co-hosting. The week before, I was going to do the podcast, and my daughter, there was a kind of a medical emergency. I had to take my daughter to the emergency room. So Mike had actually contacted Wildy Bear and Team MZ and said that, he wanted to do more and wanted, loved the idea of doing the podcast. So when I had to step out, then Mike hosted the one 2 weeks ago. And so then Mike and I started talking. And it was something, doing the DoD podcast, it was always at least two of us. Sometimes there were four of us doing the podcast. And then we'd have a guest on. So, and then other times it was, most of the time it was three of us that did the podcast. And then having a co-host was a lot of fun because, there's some times where, I would stop and answer something in chat or, this was the whole idea behind Dads of Destiny is, sometimes you have to step away because life calls, and so like my kids would come up or one of my sons would hit the other son and one would be screaming bloody murder and you'd think it was, the CSI crime scene or something like that. So I'd have to step away. And so then a co-host could step in and start, talking or doing whatever on the podcast. So that was, so I talked to Mike and asked him about it. He said, yeah, he'd love to. So yeah, that was our first co-hosted Team MC podcast, and it's gonna continue. We've already got
Smurf Muffin.
Smurf Muffin. We got this week lined up. I gotta send him over that questionnaire too.
I like Smurf Muffin. He's a really nice guy. I don't know if you've had much chance to talk to him. He's a great guy. Seriously. I'll just throw this out here. If one of you can't make it one week and you want to keep the co-host thing, you just you get in touch with this guy. I'll help you co-host.
Sure, we can.
Just saying, if you ever need to fill in,
yeah,
I'm always there. I'm always around. I've got no life.
We could have some episodes with three of us too.
I don't want to step on your toes there. I think you and Mike definitely have a nice flow going. It really worked well, and that's why because I think it was during the podcast you actually said something about it being your first hosting together, and I was like, really? It's very smooth the way that you two were interacting, so I thought it worked well. But if you ever want me to come in and fuck up the mix and just make everything terrible,
hey, every pond needs some ripples every once in a while. The water's got to get churning a little bit, otherwise it just becomes kind of smelly and gross. So.
Not me. I'm good.
No. You did that actually. I was streaming. Okay, so after the podcast Friday night, a couple of us get together and we call it the Fuck It Friday, and it's just the time where we do a multi-stream and we all just kind of let loose and we don't really pay attention so much to the game as we do just screw around, laugh, and joke. And I'm sitting there. We were actually playing Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, always fun.
And my wife had the heat on, and I forgot to turn the heat off, and the temperatures are getting better, getting warmer around here. So I raised up my arms, and then I noticed on stream I had like pit stains from sweat. I'm like, oh, it was that classic like deodorant commercial, like, oh, somebody's unsure.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. One of the little tips I found out is when I'm doing the nightly podcast, not so much when I'm streaming during the day, if I'm just playing a video game, because then a lot of times I'm like way back here, and I'm like whatever, But when I'm on my podcast, I try to be up close to the camera and whatever. And I've learned I have to put on shorts when I stream. If I've got long pants on, I just get too hot. I need that airflow around my feetsies.
On your bowls.
Yeah, not even so much on my balls, but yes.
Yeah.
yes, that too, but just yeah, if I've got long pants on, like actually, you know where it is bad. It's my knee armpits, the backs of my knees.
Yeah.
Sweat like crazy if I'm wearing pants during the podcast. So yeah, that's in fact. Oh my god, what was it? 2 or 3 weeks ago. Who was I talking to? I want to say when I was talking to Rain Kagumi. We were like 2 minutes before we went live, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta take off my pants." No, I was like literally just about to go live, and I go, "Oh my god, I'm wearing pants. Hold on!" And I just threw my pants off and did the interview in my boxer shorts because I was like, "Ah." He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I can't do this interview in my pants."
You can't do that on Twitch.
Well, you know, I mean, the camera cuts off right here, so
yeah. just to hear that, be like, "Hold on, I gotta take my pants off."
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, it was right before we went live. Yeah, I think it was Rain. It was either Rain or Lassane. I can't remember who it was, but
Those things that make me glad to be able to. I'm not joking. When I play video games, I don't know if it's something with my my adrenaline or whatnot, but when I'm playing the video game, I mean, I sweat from my pits, like, you know, and it's, you know, I put antiperspirant on and do all that. It's just, I don't know, it's like Niagara Falls there. So
I feel for you, brother. See, for me, it's like my back, my elbows, and then like the backs of my knees get real sweaty. I don't, and then I get shiny up here, and not so much sweaty, but just like I'm Italian, like Italian heritage. Yeah. So I'm just an oily, greasy son of a bitch, you know. Lassane says, "You definitely did not shout, 'I need to take my pants off' before our podcast because I remember that for." It must have been Rain then. It must have been Rain. Yeah. So it was either Rain or Lassane.
It's the person that's not in here.
Yeah.
You scarred him.
You know, you got to do what you got to do. Like I said, actually, and what I started doing, so I've got a rather large desk. I actually put a pair of shorts in this drawer down here. Just so if that ever happens again, I can at least change into shorts without having to go and look for a pair and blah 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 blah. I don't know where I was going with this. I completely we took the train.
It all goes back to pants. That's I mean, you know, we had the discussion on the podcast on Friday about boxers or briefs, and then I think boxer briefs won. Not in your opinion though.
I mean. No, I've always been a boxer guy.
Let them dangle a little bit.
Yeah, basically since I started buying boxer shorts, since I started buying underwear, you know, like as opposed to my mommy buying me underwear. Yeah. Like going back that far. Yeah, I don't know. I just...
That was actually the first pair of boxers I got. I remember... It was for Christmas, and because it was like, you know, I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade, and all the guys, you know, you'd go in the locker room and all the guys were talking about wearing boxers, and it was like a big thing to do. And so I was asking my mom and my dad for boxers, and then they finally I got some for Christmas, and I remember they were blue and like a velvety material, and so uncomfortable as a teenage boy to be walking around with that.
I remember the very first pair of boxer shorts I ever bought for myself. They were Ren and Stimpy boxer shorts.
Ren and Stimpy. Oh my goodness, I remember Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah. And then, okay, so then funny story about that. My dad's sister, so my aunt, like certifiably insane. Like she has spent time in a mental health facility, like. And when I say time, I don't mean like, 6 weeks. I mean like 9 months. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like crazy nuts. Well, anyways, one time, and it was like, you know, I was still a kid, but I was just getting to the point where those boxer shorts were just a little too small for me, so I never really wore them anyways. But they were still in the underwear drawer. She came to live with us for about 6 months, and she needed her own independence though. So instead of living in our house, she lived in our garage, which was unheated, no electricity, no water, and no lock. You could just open the garage and walk in and out. But that's what she wanted, and so that's where she lived. But she had a house key. And I I didn't notice that my Ren and Stimpy boxers were missing, but my parents noted that things started going missing from the house, and we went out one day while she was gone and started looking through her things, and she was just stealing stuff from our house. But it was nothing valuable. It was like my Ren and Stimpy boxers were in there, like a single wooden candlestick out of a set of 4 wooden candlesticks. It's just bizarre. Like a bent spoon. People be crazy, yo. People be
There
crazy.
is no spoon, man. There is no spoon.
Well, yeah, in the end, my mom even looked at me. She's like, do you need those boxers or can we leave them there? Because we don't want her to know we were going through her stuff.
It's like, she could have. I don't know what she did to him.
I'm like, fine. She's obviously crazy. So, Crazy Frog says, I show up to boxers and briefs. Perfect timing.
What's going on, Frog, man? Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, all right. We'll get off the boxer and brief and move on to a topic that is nearer and dearer to my heart than probably almost anything in the world other than my wife or my cat. Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D.
D&D.
Roll20.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were telling me just before we went live that you're actually going to be streaming some D&D tonight?
Streaming D&D tonight. Actually, myself and a couple of guys from the Dads of Destiny that we still stay in touch, and we have a game that we play every Monday night at 9:30 Central. We use Roll20.net, and that's kind of our setup. And we have a buddy that's our dungeon master, and he takes us through. So this is actually the second campaign we've played. We played one before, and it was, I think it might have been like the Dungeon Master's, not his first time, but his first time in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And we got probably, 4 episodes in, and we completely broke the whole game.
Clarify?
Well, I mean, because we just we had our characters do things in the game, in the campaign, that weren't planned for. So, I mean, and there was like no way to retcon and bring it back. It's just, we went to the area and we pretty much screwed ourselves, screwed him from doing anything with it. So we're like, okay, you know what, let's just start over, let's roll new characters. The character I had there was a Tiefling Rogue, which is a lot of fun to play.
Before we go on, what edition were you playing?
5th Ed.
Okay.
Yep. So I had the Tiefling Rogue, and now I am a half ogre barbarian. So yes, I know I kind of go with, things that are can be like a half ogre barbarian instead of something else. But where my character before was very cunning, my Tiefling Rogue was very cunning and wise and intelligent. My half ogre have it set up to where he is almost like fully dependent on another player's character. Like he will sit there and ask, okay, should I attack now? Or hey, what does Vel say to this? Or if Vel says I should go, and things like that. And it's so much fun to play because I don't have to make many decisions. I can just beat the shit out of something. You get to
role play just the pure essence of the dumb ogre.
I know, it's so much fun. So much fun. And then I can come through, like last week we were playing, and so we have a Drow cleric, we have a ranger, and we have a bard. And so the bard, we came across this this alchemy setup where somebody, of course, was mixing potions, and they left a note and said, okay, this part of the potion is done. Do not drink. And, be careful when you're adding it to this, because that will be the finished product and whatnot. It'll finish the potion. And this is down in the crypt where we were fighting like mummies or skeletons, stuff like that, So the cleric, the Drow cleric, and the bard were sitting there arguing because each one of them wanted to finish the potion, but they wanted to use it for their own. And so to frustrate them all, I just walk over, I had my half ogre just walk over, grab the flask with the unfinished potion, and just throw it against the wall,
Oh.
shatter it, potions spilled all over the ground. It can't be finished now. And then I, just role playing and said, okay, let's move on now. I want to kill something. So they weren't too happy with it, but it was a perfect time to play that, uninterested in magic position. So
you don't understand it, so you don't trust it.
Exactly. If it doesn't have a blade, if it can't, draw blood on impact, then yeah,
Have you ever played any other role-playing games other than D&D?
No.
Okay.
No.
There was a game that came out in the 80s called Battlelords of the 23rd Century. It was invented by a friend of mine named Larry Sims. It was fairly popular. It definitely hit its peak during sort of the 90s RPG boom that came around with Vampire the Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, they have this race. It's like sci-fi space. Okay. They have a race called the Ram. Well, there's two races. There's the Pythons and then the Ram Pythons. And like the Pythons are dumb, but they're like orc level dumb. And then you've got the Ram Pythons, which are huge heaping mountains of muscle and nothing between their ears. And I'll never forget, I played a Ram Python who was wearing a full power armor suit, including environmental systems. And we were reconning across a planet or something, and we had to cross a river, and they only one of the people decided, we know how to make rafts, so we're making a raft. And then, but I was so big and so heavy, it's and I'm like, well, my suit is full EVA. I can just walk across the bottom of the river. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The current's not going to push me. I'm walking along the bottom. I'll be fine. And that was fine until the son of a bitch who designed the game, who was a real bastard when it came to GMing, Larry Sims, was like, and to put it in D&D terms, okay, roll a will saving throw. And I go, okay, I failed because I'm stupid and I've got no common sense. He's like, okay, you see a really tasty looking fish walk by or swim past your helmet as you're walking on the stream. I'm like, I want that fish. He goes, yes, you do. Take off your helmet and eat it. And then I did, and I drowned. And then he said, give me your character sheet. Rip. And that was that.
Oh, man. That's painful.
Yeah, that was playing with Larry Sims was usually a painful experience. He took great enjoyment out of taking your character sheet, ripping it in half, and then taping the two halves to the wall in the back room of his shop, his gaming store. So, yeah, he's a great guy, though. Anyways.
As long as you don't play a RPG with him.
But yeah, I mean, I actually, I think I told you last Friday, I got into D&D when I was 7, not quite 7 years old, almost 7, because a friend of mine had played Dungeons and Dragons, and he said, I want to play this, but I don't want to be the dungeon master. Here, Pete, you learn.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've been playing ever since. I actually, I play a lot on play by post on forums now.
Mm-hmm.
And I had someone message me at 7:43 and be like, hey, let's talk about blah blah blah. I'm like, I'll get back to you in an hour. I got a podcast to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a friend of mine here in chat, Noah Near, is I made a D&D YouTube channel. Yeah, he's been talking to me a lot. He wants me to do some custom graphics for his D&D channel. So we're looking forward to that.
That'll be cool.
But so you're going to be streaming your D&D game at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern.
Right.
As I said, if I'm awake, because I don't know, I'll make sure I toss you a host. And,
I appreciate
but everyone should make sure that they, take a minute, and if you're on my channel, just say something in chat so people can toss you a follow, Th0rnd. And if he's not in chat, everyone make sure.
Okay, I'll see what you're saying.
Yeah, everyone make sure you get a chance. Go to twitch.tv/Th0rnd. That's Th0rnd, and make sure you toss this guy a follow because he's pretty awesome. I've definitely enjoyed meeting him and talking with him.
Yeah, the check's in the mail.
Shameless plug. It's not shameless when I ask you to do it.
It's still shameless.
It's a requested plug. So can I just say something that's a little weird and completely off topic?
Yeah, you could say anything you want. It's your show.
So you look physically, your face looks a lot like one of the best friends I had growing up. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, my mom and her best friend, like they've been best friends since they were in like kindergarten, and they're still friends. Um, she had a child like 2 months before, no, 2 months after I was born. Like so, my friend Corey is like 2 months younger than me, but like growing up we were always together because our mothers were best friends. But yeah, in the face and the goatee area.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When I was younger, I always got to like, because I'm from Arkansas and I used to have a really like heavy, thick accent, and I got told. So have you seen Con Air with Nicolas Cage?
Oh yeah.
I got told that I sounded like him.
I'm sorry.
Like Con Air. No, I know. And so everybody would always tell me like, say, put the bunny back in the box. His line from the "put the bunny back in the box." I was like, God, no, got to get away from it. So
that was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's about it. That's my impersonation show, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Well, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that Nicolas Cage is basically a meme on the internet.
Always.
So
in whatever position you can find them, yeah.
My wife is very strange.
Mm-hmm.
It was her job to get. So she works at a real estate agency, and it was her job to get new and updated photos of all the agents and take them down from where they'd been hanging like way up high on the wall, like all the way along the hallway, and put them on the wall where you first come in and make like a nice grid. So she did that, but there wasn't an even number, and it bothered her that there was 19. There should be 20. So her response was to print out a picture of Steve Buscemi and frame it and hang it on the wall. And none of her bosses noticed for 9 days.
Oh, wow. Mr. Pink.
Yeah, and the reason I mention that is because her bosses finally figured it out, and they told her today, take that shit down. What are you doing?
No, then I have to take down another one.
So she took down the picture of Steve Buscemi, took it out of the frame, brought it home, and then when I was not in the room, she actually hung it on my green screen right here in the hopes that I wouldn't notice it and go live with Steve Buscemi hovering over my shoulder.
You should leave it there. That maybe you could do that. Maybe you should get like a picture of like the red carpet or something, and have all these people, and dress up like, get a tux and a bow tie and all that, and dress up like you're actually out at the red carpet. That'd be a cool podcast.
I don't want creepy Steve Buscemi hanging over my shoulder. So that's okay though. I took it down and I put it underneath her pillow. So she'll
perfect spot. Perfect spot.
Two can play at this game, my friend.
Yes, I know. That's the thing we have. Me and my wife have is, because I like to pull pranks and she likes to. Our style of pranks is different. Mine is more like, I don't really go for like the stair stepper prank approach. I mean, if I'm going to do a prank, I'm going for kill shot. I mean, this is like, bam, it's like prank to end all pranks type level. So a lot of planning goes into mine, where she'll do like the smaller things, like put the picture on the green screen or something like that. Something that's just a little irritating, but we've always talked about it that same way as like, okay, you can pull a prank and it's fine, but come about is fair game, and you can't get upset, once somebody gets revenge on you. You can't get pissed off or anything like that. So, but we have that understanding. We don't pull too many pranks on each other anymore because that reason.
Was there a breaking point? Was there a this has gone too far?
There honestly, there wasn't a time where one went like over that line, but I think it was the fear that eventually it would go over that line, and that at some point or another, our house would probably explode from a prank. And so it's just kind of a mutual unsaid understanding that's okay.
So
we'll leave it at the light frames.
what I'm getting from this is she would have shenanigans that were lighthearted and fun, cheeky almost, whereas yours were dark and evil. Evil shenanigans.
And I wouldn't classify them as evil.
No.
Just, it's kind of like the, do something almost so hideous in nature that they don't want to do anything back to you because they would be afraid of the retribution.
I have to admit, I was making a Super Troopers reference to see if you'd catch it, but that's okay.
Oh, I didn't catch it. I've only seen that movie one time all the way through, and it was when I was at a buddy's 21st birthday party, and so I don't remember that much of it.
Well,
So,
it's one of those movies that definitely you can watch, I'd say, half a dozen to a dozen times,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden you watch it, you're like, why am I watching this movie again? This movie sucks. Like, it's hilarious the first 6 times easily, but then
Yeah.
you hit a breaking point with it,
Well,
but
movies like that, so have you seen The Jerk?
oh yeah, Steve Martin.
Okay.
All I need is this thermos. This thermos in this chair. I'm in the phone book. I'm gonna be somebody.
Yeah. He hates his hands, but so that's one of my wife and my favorite movies. I mean, we love that movie. And I'm going to be the old guy here and say it. They don't make movies like that anymore because they don't make movies like that anymore.
They can't, dude. There is no way they could make that movie again today. The opening scenes are so racial,
Yes,
and I
see
mean,
it.
when he's talking about like
I
porch
remember-
monkey, sir, I am a porch monkey. There's no way they could get away with that. Also, one of my all-time favorite movies, speaking of which, there's no way they could remake it. There's zero chance they could remake Back to the Future.
No, they better not.
No, I mean, there is no major studio that would ever allow it. I mean, it deals with rape, incest, racism, drug use, and this is all just in the first movie, and it was rated PG.
Yep. But they don't touch it. Have you seen the new Ghostbusters? Yeah, I say it like I get the taste of throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I was so disappointed. My young boys, they wanted to watch it. When they first announced it, so a couple years back they said they were going to do a new Ghostbusters. I'm like, hey, maybe they could have a couple of the old cast come back and then like it's like their children or something like that, or the new Ghostbusters or whatnot. And then they started announcing the cast, and I want to be careful because I don't have anything against I'm not a chauvinist or anything like that. I have no problem with it, but it's like you take something that was so pure in the humor and the originality of it, like Ghostbusters, and you rewrite. You don't even rewrite it really. I mean, it was the same movie just with different people, and then you throw some of the old characters in there and almost like cameo roles.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, God, you just made. I wouldn't wipe my ass with that movie. So
I had just recently before that, and I watched it while on Skype with a friend who was watching it at the same time. So we, could like watch it together. And we had done the same thing a few weeks before with Batman versus Superman. And I said, I never thought there would be a movie that would make Batman versus Superman look good in comparison. I was like, wow, this is... And you want to know the thing that kills me? And this is not misogyny here. Melissa McCarthy is hilarious. She is absolutely hilarious as a comic. And I've seen her in some other movies. There's a movie starring Melissa McCarthy called Spy. Just funny. It's just a funny movie. And there were so many... The biggest crime that the Ghostbusters remake did, in my opinion, was there were so many times where the joke was there and then they killed the joke. Like, for example, I don't remember the exact line, but it was like the two characters are talking and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. And then Melissa McCarthy goes, Your mama doesn't know what she's talking about. And I started laughing, and then till she goes, no, that's just kidding. Your mother's a saint. I love her. You know this. It's like, man, you just stepped on the joke.
Yeah.
Like, the joke was character A fucks up, character B calls them out, and character A then has like a, shut up, your mother. Like,
Yeah.
that was fucking funny.
Just end it.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'm just kidding. I love your mother.
I just didn't like the fact that they didn't write an original story. You know, they changed a couple aspects of Ghostbusters, but there was nothing original about it.
Yeah.
It was a remake with different lead characters. And it's, you know, even down and you know, not trying to do any, you know, make any racist remarks or anything, but even down to the nationalities. You know, of course you have the African American, because there was an African American before, and it's like, you know, put 2 African Americans in there, switch it up. You know, man,
you've got the crazy scientist.
Yeah, you got the crazy scientist, you got the non-believer, you've got the techie in there, and you know, and then you have and then you threw what's his name, Thor, whatever, I forget his name now.
Yeah, whatever. Thor is fine. I know who you mean. What's it? Chris? Hemsworth. That's right.
Yeah. So then you throw him in there, and that was like a horrible casting decision, in my opinion.
He was the only one I liked. He was so ridiculously and now, mind you, but that goes to show you how politically correct that movie was. That the only person they could make so ridiculous and parody so much was the pretty man. That was the only character they could really freely parody, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, in the originals, you know, it wasn't, I mean, the female assistant or whatever, she wasn't a ditz.
No, she was, Janine was a very important character.
She was a smartass,
you
know, but, you know, just quit messing with our movies. That's I guess what I gotta say on that.
Well, I don't know if Rain Unleashed said that they are already in the process of a remake, meaning I think Back to the Future.
I'm gonna boycott it.
I can't, dude. It's literally, if it's not my favorite movie, and by the way, I just count all 3 movies as one thing, you know, usually. Yeah. If Back to the Future isn't my number 1 favorite movie, it's like top 3. It's like, you know, yeah. That and The Big Lebowski and maybe the original Alien, maybe Memento. I don't know. It's hard to pick, you know, a top 3.
Memento, that's a good one. That's Memento is such a good movie, and it's like obscure. So not many people have seen or know about Memento.
No,
it's so clever. It's such a clever movie.
But the funny thing is, anyone who has seen it will tell you that they've seen it.
Yes,
you've got to see it. It's on my list of, like, whenever anyone says what's a good movie, I'll be like, did you ever see Memento? No? Oh, you should watch Memento. How about Primer? Did you ever see Primer? Watch Primer.
I haven't seen Primer.
Oh, dude. It was a small independent, like, I think Sundance type movie. It's like 90 minutes long. It's science fiction. It's basically these guys invent a time travel machine, but they don't realize what they've invented first. But the mechanics of it are very strange. So what happens is they create a box, and when they turn the box on, right? And then however much time passes, and then they turn the box off. So let's say they leave the box on for an hour. Then time when they shut it off, for the next hour, inside the box only, time runs in reverse. So if you, like, turn on the box and get inside, and then sit in there for an hour, and then turn it off, and then wait an hour for it to go off, you're back at the original time. It's very strange. It's so hard to explain. If you Google, like, what the fuck is going on in Primer, there are, like, flow charts and people trying their best to try to explain how. It's super confusing, but it's really good.
Huh, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. It's a very small. It was on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it still is, but
I'll look it up.
Yeah, Primer. I can't believe we're down to our last 10 minutes. What did I tell you? This flies.
No, it goes so fast. And I was talking about the jerk, and this is what I mean, because the mind keeps going. It's like the movie's connected to this movie, and it's like 6 ways to Kevin Bacon and all that. How everything connects in my head, but the jerk. So it's one of our favorite movies, and so we watched it. We have two. Well, now they're adult. I have two stepdaughters that are adults now, and but when they were teenagers, I found the jerk actually, and it was in the discount bin at Walmart, like the $5 bin. I'm like, come on. But so I brought it home, and my wife and I were like, we got the popcorn ready, we got the drinks ready. We're like, oh, we're gonna watch the jerk. Come on, kids, let's watch it. This movie's hilarious. And it gets like 10, 15 minutes in, and the kids are bored out of their mind. My wife and I are cracking up laughing, and they are so bored, and we're like, but do you not see the humor?
Did they not understand? Was it too adult?
No, it's just not. It's not present funny anymore. I guess is the way that I think now comedy. See, before back in the day. Back in the day, movies. You could deliver comedy, and it didn't have to be like up in your face, like, hey, this is funny, hey, you should laugh here or whatnot. And I think now that's the way comedy is delivered. It's like, okay, I have to laugh now because it's, this is supposed to be funny.
Yeah, and they almost mug to the camera. They'll tell a joke, and then they'll be like, blah, 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 and then I said, in my pants, and then they'll do one of these.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
And, yeah. So. Yeah. What's funny about that, though, is if you go on Reddit, there are so many times where I'll go on Reddit and people be like, I didn't get this joke when I was a kid. And they'll show, like, some sitcom or something, like, from not even that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, and someone will make a double entendre that no kid is going to get. But when you're an adult, you're like, oh, they're talking about butt sex. But it's a double entendre, and so it's hidden. And I definitely feel like that's kind of one of the problems with a lot of the comedy. I'm not going to say all of it. There's some really good stuff out there, but a lot of the comedy, TVs, etc., it's very like, here you go. We'll just serve it to you.
Yeah. There's no build-up anymore. There's no foreplay to comedy anymore.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
And, it's a shame, too, because there's still so many very funny stand-up comics. I don't know if if you like stand-up. I love stand-up comedy. And, even though I may not like him as a person or agree with a lot of his political viewpoints, Louis C.K. is possibly the funniest stand-up comic alive. And I can just listen to him. I love watching stand-up comedy specials on Netflix. There's so many good and they don't, like, there's no market for it, really. It's a shame, man.
No, one of my most favorite. I watch Pablo Francisco when I can, because the impersonations and the movie guy voice, this summer. And then Jim Gaffigan. I love Jim Gaffigan. That's one of the most hilarious. Hot Pocket! When are we going to run to Mexico?
Pablo Francisco was on one of the all-time best comedy shows ever. He was on Reno 911.
Oh, I loved Reno 911. Loved it.
We won't talk about the last season of that show. It doesn't exist.
I think they jumped the shark when they put the movie out. The movie was. Dude, I liked the movie, but it was like.
They literally jumped a shark on the show because they knew that the show had gone on but they were making so much money that the
hilarious.
Yeah, they even were like, look, this show sucks now, and it's gonna suck until we go off the air. But like I can't remember, but they literally had Dangle on roller skates jumping over an aquarium in front of the police station, and there was a shark in the police. They're like, look, we know, like they said, we know this season and from here on out is gonna suck, but so much money. Yeah. Well, listen.
Lieutenant Dangle and Trudy, I think that was her name in there. Her character. They were. Do you remember Viva Variety?
I'm sorry.
the Viva Variety.
I never
the
saw
show.
that. No.
It was on Comedy Central, and it was a mock of all the variety shows of like the 1960s, 50s, and 60s. But they did a show together, and that had to be when I was an early teenager. But yeah, that's when I first saw them, and I had laughs at it because the comedy was apparent to me. But I don't know.
My wife and I, if we're watching something and then that actor comes on, she'll still point at the screen and be like, "It's Lieutenant Dangle."
Yep.
It's funny how you do get these associations with certain characters. And before I go on any further, let me just point out, thank you so much for coming on. It's been 55 minutes gone in the blink of an eye. And we do only have about 5 minutes left. I do like to keep it pretty tight to a 60-minute because that's what I do. Is there anything you want to talk about or anyone you wanted to plug or anything you wanted to mention other than twitch.tv/Th0rnd?
No, actually, I would plug Team MZ, because it's what brought you and I together, and I guess I started out back in, I've been streaming for off and on for maybe about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, just nothing real serious. And then I started out in February, kind of trying to get more serious. And February, I joined Team MZ. And when I joined, I had 86 followers. And leading up to that point, I was getting nowhere. I mean, I was beating my head against the wall, just trying to get somewhere with it. And then fast forward to today. I mean, now I'm a senior mod in Team MZ. Love giving back to the community, but now I'm almost at 700 followers. Just
awesome, man.
Not even 3 months after. And I'm affiliated now, so show me your bits. Your biddies. So.
I gotta tell you, I wasn't sure if I wanted to take affiliation because I was having a lot of fun streaming to multiple platforms at the time. But in the end, I'm pretty glad I did. It's it's a little bit. It's the one downside for me that I can't now live stream to other sites that I won't mention. At the same time as I'm on Twitch, but I think the trade-off is worth it. Yeah, but everyone make sure, again, if you haven't, make sure you, why would you cheer me for bits? All right, thank you very much.
Share the love.
Uh-oh, I think my speakers may have just gone. Okay, so, if anyone else hears feedback during this, I apologize. I have to take off my headphones, which means you may hear Th0rnd coming out of my speakers, so apologies for that. But, dude, thank you. Yeah, I don't have bits. I have no bits, so I can't cheer anyone.
Oh, that's all right. I just watch the ads to get the free bits. So
I see. I should do that. Well, listen, man. Thank you again so much. Again, my offer stands. If you ever need a co-host or anyone to fill in or anything, I think I do okay at this.
Oh yeah. And it's podcasts aren't easy, but once you get them, I mean, it's like you said. I mean, time flies by. You're just talking,
yeah.
And really, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I used to have a whole schedule that I would do 4 nights a week when I would stream, and I had some health issues, and I had some family members that were very close to me pass on, and I hit a really bad lull. And I said, I gotta back up from streaming for just a little bit. It was feeling like work, and I was stressing out about. And I said, but you know what? I definitely want to keep doing my podcast every Monday because it's one of the most enjoyable things for me. Crazy Frog, my first Rhevs stream. I enjoyed it. I'll definitely be back. Thank you, Crazy Frog. So, Th0rnd, before you go, what times do you normally stream other than the Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Team MZ podcast? What time do you normally stream?
So the days that I have set aside to stream is Monday nights at 9:30 Central for the D&D stream, and then Friday nights outside of the podcast, Friday nights at 10 Central is when we do our Fuck It Friday. And Crazy actually was with us on our Fuck It Friday this last week when we did Cards Against Humanity. So, and then after that, it's kind of where I can fit it in because I get my kids to bed around 8 or 8:30, and then I come down and I finish all my work for the day. So I try to stream every night if I can because I just like it. But here lately, I just haven't had a lot of time. But it's usually 9 Central or beyond.
All right. Well, listen, everyone. Hopefully, everyone has gone and already tossed you a follow. I noticed that you just, pardon me, you just followed my channel right before we went live. So let me give you the big ups, yeah. Th0rnd. Big ups to Th0rnd. Thank you, dude. I appreciate the follow. Man. I appreciate it. So one of the things I like to do, and I love springing this on my guest at the very end, is I always give my guest the final word, and then we're going to say goodbye. So, Th0rnd, final word goes to you, buddy.
Oh, man. Now you got to spring it on me. Here comes the dead. Okay, Saturday Night Live episode with Bruce Willis. His word of the day when they were doing the skit with Wayne's World. They're doing a Wayne's World skit, and they asked for the word of the day from Bruce Willis, and he said the word of the day is sphincter. There you go.
All right. So from Th0rnd and me, thank you all very much for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure you check out twitch.tv/Th0rnd and give him a follow. He's a great guy, and thanks again for being on.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
We'll see you later. Bye-bye, everyone.
See you later.